Awesome, guys. Well, welcome back to Inspector Projo. We are so extremely excited to have Matt Smith on our show. He's an incredible inspector, incredible businessman, really, that just happened to be in the inspection industry. I can't wait to share with you his story. For those inspectors that are single man shops that are looking to grow and grow quickly, he is your man. He took an inspection business from just himself and within a year turned it into $1 million a year business just by doing inspections and growing that. And so we're so excited to have him. We can't wait for him to drop some nuggets for you. I know there's a lot of listeners out there that want to grow, but maybe don't know the next steps to take. And what better person to have than Matt on here that can show you how to grow and how to do it quickly to get to that $1 million level. So Matt, welcome to the show. We're really extremely grateful to have you here. And our listeners are going to get tremendous amount of knowledge from you. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
We're very happy to get your perspective.
Yeah, so Tate, what made, yeah, definitely. So I guess what made you get in the inspection industry? Just number one.
Well, I mean, I bought and sold rental properties and tried that whole landlord thing. And, through that process, I was like, this would be a pretty cool job to have. I got fired from a job. I said, might as well take the course. And never really looked back.
That's awesome. And so when about was the time where you decided to stop, I guess being a single man shop and then go to owning, growing a business and hiring inspections? What was that turning point? How'd that look like?
Well, first of all, everybody's biggest problem is themselves. And it was myself for a while. So I never knew multi-inspector firms even existed. And traditionally, it was never really that way. As the industry started off, you usually retired, you're in your 50s, you did a couple a week, you make some solid money. It was never really run as a business. So yeah, I was just solo operator for about 10, 11 years, just slaving away, just like everybody else, and telling everybody, you don't understand my market, and agents are going to leave me, and all these other things. And what really tipped the scales for me is when you start going to these groups and these meetings where everybody's actually doing it. I mean, the template is there. I mean, anybody who's struggling as a single operating inspector, it's your fault 100%. There are companies all over the country, all over the world that are doing it. There are resources. People have already done the hard work. It's not hard anymore. So there are companies out there that have already done the hard work, and I just learned from them and use tools and resources such as Pair Payments, IGO. I mean, there are tons of vendors at all of these shows that they make it easy to have a multi-inspector firm and to do that and to grow rapidly. I mean, they're there, and some are now becoming industry specific, which is even better. So anybody on the fence about you don't understand, no, you don't understand. This is totally achievable, and you're crazy if you don't get on that, start doing that.
So one thing Joey had talked about in a previous show was taking advice from the right people. You have to take advice from the people who have grown, not from the people who are where you are. So when you were looking at people who are where you wanted to be, how did you vet the information? Like you talked about the templates. How did you vet, all right, this is going to work for me and this isn't going to work for me?
Well, even in the beginning, I went around with a bunch of popular home inspectors when I first started. And I said, I like the way they do this, but I don't like the way they do this. And then the next guy, I like the way they do this, and I don't like the way they do this. And I kind of created myself. So I, really learned how to be a professional. What is consistent? So I find the consistencies in successful people and say, okay, almost everybody who is running $1 million company is offering warranties. That's virtually true. So I'm like, okay, well, this is something that I should be doing because you're creating a business. So I find patterns and consistencies in a representative group of people that are running truly successful firms. Now, the industry's also got a lot of people who want to tell you their numbers are bigger than they are. But who the big shots are and the big people are. Believe it or not, a lot of people in the industry are very willing to help. Everybody wants to tell you how they've done it and how their way might be a little bit better. So there are a lot of resources out there for that. But how do I vet somebody? Look at their real success. And there are other people in the industry that kind of do that. So as you mingle and get around people, you start to know who's who. who's doing what. When they show up with their inspector managers, they show up with their inspector GMs, they're probably the real deal. They have a real company. So they definitely have something to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And how'd you find these people? Like, what did you do? Did something get dropped in an email one day, or what made you find in big inspection companies that were growing in order for you to grow?
Yeah, I was really much on an island, here in upstate New York. And, again, just thinking this is the way to do it as a single operating firm. So I started doing a podcast. So I approach things a lot different. I'm more of a cultural type guy, very, very, very relationship based person. So I really wanted to kind of emphasize that and maybe help some people who are struggling with, that type of relationship. And I got into some groups on Facebook, believe it or not. And at the time, Inspector Brotherhood was very popular. Ended up meeting, Nathan Thornberry, had him on my podcast. And I mean, anybody who really is a who's who is almost always attached to one of his products at a minimum. And he invited me out to Super Conference and went out there. And I said, I never looked back from there. So that's really how it happened. You got to put yourself out there, get in groups, see who's actually doing what. And you just got to go, man. You got to find out when these events are and when they're happening. And you will by being in some of these groups, because they'll advertise in there to have them done, or people will brag about how they're going, who's meeting up, etc. And that's where you go. Regardless if you like somebody or don't like somebody, you're going to find somebody there, that you like. It's just about that camaraderie and community is really going to build you up. Because I think a lot of people are just kind of by themselves, they're alone. I think that's the way that it needs to be done. And there are so many different ways things are being done. Whereas you go to these groups and you go to these meetings, it really streamlines a lot of things. So that's how I ended up. That was my path, how I got there, more or less. You just got to put yourself out there, get in some groups, get on some calls, start reading some magazines. They advertise in magazines, different stuff. You got to do your diligence, do your research, find out who's doing what.
And I think that's extremely important. I guess what separated you, because the information's there, these groups are there, and people have access to this information. They have access to this podcast. They can contact us. They can contact you. What made you decide to start growing based off getting this information? What, I guess I see, because we go to these conferences together. We met at one, and we see a lot of people that always seem stuck. Like, oh, I hired this guy, it didn't work out, or I did this. What made you just say, you know what, pedal to the metal, I'm going full throttle? Because you grew to $1 million in a year. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. So what was the key for you? You got this information, you met the right people, and then what?
Well, first of all, I don't have any fear. I'm not scared of anything. Like, nothing's going to happen if I fail. And you can insert every cliche you've ever read on Facebook here, but I'm really not. I don't care. I just do it. Because in my mind, I really look at everything that I have to gain. So I'm not a person who wants to complain. I'm not a person who wants to have problems lingering. I like to really just solve them and get them out of the way and get them done. I get very frustrated when problems start mounting up. I don't like talking about problems. I like solving them. So for me, and other people, they're like, oh, I'm working too much and this is a problem and that's a problem. So for me, I said, the sooner I get myself out of this, the sooner I can do things that I really want to do and enjoy life. What people don't understand is that they own a job. They don't own a business. And that was one thing that I realized. I own a job. I don't own a business. If something happens to me, I make $0. When I go on vacation, I lose a tremendous amount of money. I was doing a lot of inspections solo. It's a lot of money, that you lose out on. It's like, well, this doesn't make sense to me. Why would I own a job? I might as well get W-2 to get paid vacations. So some stuff really wasn't making sense to me. As I get older, et cetera, I'm saying it really seemed almost irresponsible. All those securities that people get, right? People get a state job. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, they're high-fiving. They think everything's great because all the benefits that come along with it. But when we start businesses, we never take care of ourselves in that way. We just work ourselves into the ground thinking nobody can do it better or be better. So those were things for me. And I think a lot of people get scared because you got to kind of show out. You got to show who you are. If you're doing 20 inspections a month, people feel intimidated. I mean, you get around some of these guys that are, I mean, look at, the people out there in Southern California, man, they're doing 600 a week. People can't grasp like really what's going on out there in the world. So I think they're scared. They feel like they're being judged or whatever. But I never really felt that way in the first place. You just got to go for it, man. Like my desire to enjoy life is much greater than any fears that I'm going to have with failing at something. Maybe you lose an agent. Yeah, maybe someone's going to get mad at you. But if you go through life thinking that what you're doing is still going to make 100% of the people happy, you're crazy. The only person who's going to make yourself happy is yourself, and you have to you're responsible for creating that all on your own. And that's what went through my head, why I wanted to do it.
I love and you like what you explained there was your why. You were, you saw like, hey, I own a job. What happens if something happens to me? I have no income. And that's a big why, and that's that security that we talk about. Most of us have a false sense of security and we rely on, oh, no one can do it better. And that's your security blanket. It's funny to hear you say the opposite, because of what most inspectors actually think. And you brought up a couple key things too, is you were willing to fail fast and learn from your mistakes and immediate action. And so guys, as you guys get around the right people, you need to take their advice. And again, make sure you are getting around the right people, people way, and then take immediate action and use them to help. And that's he learned from his issues and then took that immediate action, which is key. So a lot of us get a lot of information and then we don't act on it. You need to act quickly, because the only way you're gonna, get that right hire, get that next right inspector, is you're probably gonna have to hire a couple bad inspectors. It's like dating. You're not, the first girl you meet on a dating app is not going to be the one. Sorry, if you think it is, it's not happening. You got extremely lucky if it is.
Well, it's
so that's.
But what if it goes right? Like people just don't. Again, I look at the upside. This is going to work, and I'm going to make it work because I don't want to work Fridays, or I want to go on vacation, or I want to sleep in, or anything. And you can even start small. If you're not willing to give up your inspections, and maybe you're just not at that point, they have call centers all over the country. You got guys whose phone. I mean, the things that people complain about, you can definitely outsource. I mean, come on, man. Bookkeeping, all sorts of stuff to make your life easier. And you could start there. You could start small and work your way into it. We're a much, much, much better company because we have multiple inspectors. There's no way I could do it all right now, and no way I would want to do it all. You're not doing anyone any service by being by yourself. You're being pulled in 35 different directions. You're not writing reports accurately. Your brain is not thinking about the integrity of a roof. You're thinking about the next job and how you got to call back on a phone call. You are a terrible job owner in that instance, because you can't stay focused on one task or another. And if you don't start outsourcing some things, you're heading, for some health issues, first of all. Second of all, real serious business issues, because they're not going to get any better, because your business is going to continue to grow. So really, if anybody's afraid to start delegating out home inspections, well, maybe at first and this is what I did. I started with an assistant. I realized how much time I was wasting driving. I had an assistant. They helped just little tasks day to day, helped out tremendously. Somebody answered the phone. And again, bookkeeping and just all sorts of different things that people can do. HR services. I mean, there is a lot of things that people don't realize that they can do. That's pretty low cost, and you're giving up your control slowly. I realize not a lot of people are so quick to want to give up control as I am. I can't wait to get rid of control and put it in somebody else's hands. I do not want to micromanage or look over anyone's shoulder at all. But a lot of people, I think, have a problem with that. But that may be a small way to start and a smart way to start. There are call centers all over the country. They're 24/7, and then you can just have dinner with your family, and the phone rings. Somebody's going to answer it.
And so someone looking at you now and saying, all right, this is a guy who had rapid growth in a year and he's killing it, but that's Matt. Only Matt can do that, right? But what they're having trouble visualizing maybe is that it didn't go as smoothly as you're just hearing, oh, rapid growth. There were probably problems and plateaus. Were there some problems and plateaus that, are still fresh in your mind that you could give a little insight on, so that someone who is now trying to emulate what you're doing can learn from what your experiences were?
Um, I never, improper training was probably my biggest downfall. I'm very trusting of people. Again, I'm very much just, I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. It's not a lot of people are great at communicating. So people end up doing something the wrong way for 3-4 months before you catch it. I would say training at the right way at all costs is really what I'm focusing on now. I mean, my HR is a mess right now because we grew so fast. Well, I had to neglect something to, if I'm focusing on sales, I'm certainly not focusing on HR. And right now it's bad. But I have somebody, she's helping me out. We're going to get it straightened out. Everything's going to be fine. And luckily, my staff is so great that they've kind of dealt with my BS, and, they know I care about them and they get paid. So, we don't complain about them getting paid. Right. But I'm very grateful for that. Sometimes I can be a little trusting of some people, Nicky, and I had to learn that. You keep giving people chances. People are who they are. They are exactly where they are in life for a reason. You're not going to come in and give somebody a second chance and then the light bulb's going to come on. It doesn't work like that. People they have a pattern of doing something. That pattern is not going to change because they're working for you.
And one thing you had talked about that I think is really important is the fear. Not having fear is huge, because these are good problems. Having a problem with HR and having HR be a mess because you grew, that's a great problem that everyone should want to have. So are there problems like that you'd say, you know what, going into it, I was worried about this, but now I'm very happy because that's a great problem to have?
Yeah, I mean, we're having a hard time managing the business now. I can't hire people quick enough because I want proper training. And listen, it is a skilled niche field. It is. It's not as if somebody leaves Target and they go work for Walmart and they just got to learn different buttons to maybe push or read a different handbook, right? It's just the thing. Most of the time, you're going to train somebody who's never been a home inspector before. So the proper training is everything. Yeah, we have more business than we can really manage. A lot of my people are working at 150 or 200% capacity, which is dangerous as a company.
Yeah.
We're trying to fix that. As far as HR side, it's, the labor laws and all this, making sure you're compliant with everything. I just hired an outside HR woman and she's perfect for the job and she does it. And I just give her full autonomy. She asks me questions and I say, I don't want to be asked questions. Just do it. Just do what you feel is best. She's great. She's been good about it. Yeah, it's just the growth. And I think a lot of people get that, and people don't realize that they need help until it's too late. And then they're between the struggle of training and trying to make money and manage what they already have. I tell everybody when they first start a business, day one, hire help. Even if you just have somebody to answer the phone or just go bring tools to the job site, if you can't get there that day, people see some sort of progress and they like that. But most people don't hire any help until it's too late. And then their training is awful. It's so bad. And then that's when everybody says, you don't understand. Or, no, you didn't understand because, you're not properly educating people and showing them how to do it. And, I tell a lot of people too, when you take out a line of credit on your business, in order to, maybe you don't have enough work for that person for 3 months, but that's your responsibility as a business owner is to bring in business for that person. So you have to create security in one area. So we're getting a line of credit, and it's just an example, create security with money, and then it creates security with an employee. So now you don't have to worry about those things. So you're trying to create securities to remove worry. And most people just don't think to do that. And sometimes you got to front. You got to front money, you got to front some time to get where you got to be. And my motto is at all costs. If this is what I know is best and what I see is working in the industry, then it at all costs. I don't care how much money it costs. I don't care how much time it's going to cost, because it's a means to an end. I don't let it spiral. We're smart about it, but I don't let it go crazy.
Well, I think what you mentioned there is it's an investment in your business, and as you are single man operators, for those that are, put some money aside. If you're uncomfortable getting a line of credit, or maybe you can't get a line of credit, make sure you're putting money aside to grow your business, to reinvest back in your business. And as you get around the bigger companies, they're going to be able to give you ideas and ways for you to do that, as fair payments, saving on credit card fees. You talked about training being a sticking point. I remember when we first started to grow as a company, I'm like, my problems will go away. And no, they didn't go away. I just had different problems. And growth, like you just mentioned, Matt, exposes weaknesses. And the bigger you grow, then there's going to be different pain points that you're going to have to manage and adjust. And I think the key is take immediate action, grow. Your problems will reveal themselves very quickly. And then it's on you to manage those problems. And what's great about this community and having people like Matt, myself, and the Inspection Goes, Top, all these companies that are willing to help you, is there's people that have the training processes. They have them written out that they can just send you and give to you. And then you're implementing it your way, the way that you want your company to be. Matt said a very valuable thing earlier on this podcast. He said, I was going with these top inspectors and I would say, oh, I like that on that guy. I don't like that on that guy. So what was he doing? He was making his company his way, taking the best from what he saw and making it his own. That's what you have to do. And that's the key as you start growing your business. You're going to have problems. Get with those people and those companies that can help you. Make sure they are above where you are. You don't want to be somebody to get advice from people who are below you. They may have good tips, but probably not good sound business advice. And then make those quick adjustments, and I think that's, honestly, that's the key to why you got where you're going as fast as you did. One, you have no fear. You took incredible action. You're just like, fuck it. You gave probably too much freedom to the people around you. But I think giving too much freedom to the people around you is better than micromanaging and better than being on top of somebody's shoulder, because you're going to limit what they can do. And a lot of times what I've seen through growth is I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Very rarely am I the smartest inspector or smartest person in the room in any meeting that I sit on, because the ideas that come across us, and as you grow, you'll understand this, the more people around you, the more brains that are working, and we're not the smartest people. And so we need be willing to take other people's ideas and use them, and then empower them for using their idea. I think is key. So
yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I get a lot of people who, in my area, they want to, I'm very open, anybody who's a home inspector, I tell them very upfront with them, right out of school, why don't you just come work with me a little bit, see how I do things. If you want to go off on your own, that's fine too. I'm not going to stop you from doing it, but maybe you'll pick up some things to do. You know what? Not one person has taken advantage of it. Not one person has come along on a ride along. I'm like, it blows my mind. I mean, when people were asking me to do that, when I joined the ASHI group, the local ASHI group, I jumped all over it. Because I wanted to see what they were doing and how they were doing it, because I wanted to be who they were. And I mean, I guess you got to find out what different people want in life. Maybe they don't want what I'm doing. That's fine too. But at some level, I'm doing something that's going to probably make your job much, much easier. No one's ever taken advantage of it, ever.
That's interesting.
They just complain about how busy they are. And they tell me they want to do it. And I tell them, anytime you want to come along, just tell me when you're available. You can do whatever you want to do. Not one person.
Really? Wow.
Well, it's funny that everyone says they want it, and I've realized that not only from a business side. We go to the groups and we see the businesses that are out there. Very few people are actually growing. There's a small minority of big businesses in the inspection industry. Most people were single man shops. But it's funny, when we started hiring people, we started growing a culture of people. People would say they wanted to be a general manager. They wanted to be an inspection team lead. But a lot of times their actions don't back that. And so, guys, from a business standpoint, when you're growing your inspection company, you can give people a path. And I think it's very important as you start hiring employees that they have a path to where they can go. They have a path to team lead. They have a path to director of inspections. They have a path to become a general manager, because that's going to help them grow. But you can't want that for somebody more than they want it for themselves. You can show them the path, but then they have to show you through their actions that they want to get there. You know, I have tons of my inspectors. Oh, I want to be a team lead. I want to do this, but they don't back it with action. And that's the key. You have to be willing to back that up with action, and not just promote somebody because they've been there for years. This isn't a government job. You know, I don't care how many years you've been with me. I care about how you're showing me that you want to be in those positions, and make sure you provide them tasks and give them, you know, performance reviews on how they can get there, because that just creates a culture for growth within your business, and is going to put you in a better position of success, and put you in a position so you can step back from your business and get out and sleep in like Matt does, and go on vacation, be able to work on the HR stuff because he's not having to do inspections day to day, you know, and now he has more freedom to do those things and get most of life. Now, if Matt gets sick, his business still runs without him, you know, and that's huge. That is so huge.
Well, that's the whole point of owning a business, right? I think the number one reason anybody should start a business is to, improve the service in an industry. And, it's also to facilitate a lifestyle you may want to live, right? So why doesn't somebody want to work a 9 to 5? They don't want to be told what to do. They feel restricted. Well, then people go start a business, and everybody tell you it's because they want to make more money. They want more freedoms, and anybody telling them what to do, but you're still beholden in a lot of other ways with your clients, and your customers, and your schedule, because it's only you. So a lot of people just have never accomplished what they really wanted to accomplish by starting a business in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And they're worse off than working for an employer. You work for an employer, you're W-2 or 1099. Your hours are going to be your hours, and that's it. You get paid time off. You might get sick time. You get health benefits. I mean, there are a lot of things that a lot of employers do for their employees, and if you're going to throw that all away to go do something on your own, well, in my opinion, why did you do this in the first place? And I don't want to hear it's because of your kids. I don't want to hear it's because of whatever. I don't want to hear you work, 20 hours a day for your kids, because it doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to work 20 hours a day, it's better be a means to an end. I mean, we've all been there. I've done it. I've been stubborn too, but don't forget why you started a business. And it was not for anything other than to have the freedoms that you want to have in life, to enjoy things and not feel beholden to anybody else. People start a business all the time, and they're beholden to their clients or customers or phone, and they can't get out from it. But there are resources out there that will alleviate that, and they'll take that. Just don't be obstinate and think that nobody's going to do it as good as you. Mm-hmm. You're not even doing it well in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. I can tell you, we could call a lot of these phones and they won't even answer their phones. You get their voicemail. So what do you think is better? A call center who probably may not be as good as you on the phone, but at least somebody answered the phone. And that's all people want.
Yeah. Yeah. And we live in a now world, and people want information now. And if I call somebody and they're not open, I call the next person that's open. I remember getting my car fixed. I call a place. They said, "Oh, yeah, we're not available. We'll call you back." So what I do, hung up, called the next spot. We're available. Perfect. I'll bring my car right in.
Exactly.
And that's true. That's so crazy. And we do it all the time.
And when I met Matt at the super conference, in the inspection super conference in Indiana. And one of the first conversations we had was about efficiency. And you had said that when you get into a business, you have to want to improve something. Is that what your focus was? You wanted to, or did you get there to the point where you're like, all right, I'm big enough that I need to focus on efficiency? Or was that something right away? You're like, all right, I see something here that I can improve.
I'm a no thrills type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So everything with me is efficiency. So even in my everyday life, I buy things based on efficiency. Shiny objects don't really appeal to me as much as efficiency does on something. So whatever's really going to make my life easier, better, things become faster and more efficient. I'm realizing I'm spending more time working than I am enjoying my life. So why did I have this business? So And I got creative with some ways to be efficient. And, even this podcast, there's so many more resources now than there was when I was, running around by myself. And, man, sometimes people just don't know until they know. But, once you know better, you can do better. But efficiency is huge with me, especially in our company now. The reason why we get so much business is they call some guy who's been, who took the standards of somebody else from 1985 and is still doing them in 2020, and they're booked out for 2 weeks. They don't have time for that. You call my company, we can do it today. Yeah, we get out there today and do it. I mean, who doesn't want to work with a company like that? Yeah, it's all about efficiency. It's all about being able to do, you have so many hours in a day, right? You just turn the clocks back. You have like 7 hours to do inspections in. So how do we maximize that? So it's really maximizing what you have available to you. Having more of something necessarily won't make you better. It's using what you already have available to you, making it better. You cannot create more time. I can't create more home sales in my area, but what I can do is I can make the process better and easier. And it'll alleviates a ton of stress. I know a lot of companies, they run guys, they maybe do 2 a day, possibly 3 a day. Some of my guys can do 4 a day. I mean, we're not like super high on doing that, but because of our efficiency and what all the systems we have in place, we're capable and able to do that. One, they get paid more money. Two, allows for more in a day, or if somebody calls a last minute inspection or whatever, we get that taken care of. So yeah, efficiency is really the key. Just find ways to do it and do it better. Listen, I mean, Amazon has put how many businesses out of business because of their efficiency. I mean, they're talking about sending packages to your houses with a drone. Like, they're not playing, man.
Yeah.
They ain't playing. Look at Instacart efficiency, right?
Yep.
Cool. I'm at my kid's soccer game. I'm going to order food. It's going to be at my house when I get home. Don't have to go to the store. Save time, right? Cost you maybe a little bit more money, but it saves you time. Everybody tells you time is money. Insert cliche here, but it's true, man. Uber, all these companies, and what they did is they're taking away from another other businesses in their sector or in that field, and they're improving. So why can't you do that with home inspections? And that's exactly what we did. And we're so big now. If anybody wanted to even come close to what we're doing in my area, it would cost them a tremendous amount of money. And a lot of people get in this industry, fortunately for us, never look at it as a business. They look at it as a way to get some side money on the weekend, and they can't even compare. It's not even fair at this point.
I'm glad you brought it back up again, is Matt's from upstate New York. He doesn't have a huge market and still has $1 million business. So for those of you maybe not near a city, not near in a big market, you still can do it, and you still can reach that $1 million level. And you can do it like Matt did really quickly. When you told me you were from New York originally, I was thinking like New York City. Like, I was like, how the hell did he get to $1 million? And then you told me it was like upstate New York, and I was like, holy shit. How many houses do they sell up there? But seriously, but you made no excuses and just went for it. And you did it within a year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And so if you can do it, I mean, anybody can do it. We're not nothing special. It's just, I think what separates you from most people is imperfect action. You're not scared. Your fear is literally paper thin, and that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to run around and be scared, maybe what somebody might think or fail. I mean, Nike, in my opinion, has the best slogan ever, and it's very simple: just do it. Just do it. Like, just do it. If in that moment you want to do it, just do it. Get it done with. I mean, how much time do people waste looking at things and doing things that they don't help at all? They're ridiculous. Just do it. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to work. You may say, this isn't working. I may have to retool it or figure out a way to make this work. Or sometimes you have to be patient and let things catch on. People just aren't willing to do that because we do live in a world of instant gratification.
Yep.
I'm super patient. I will let things go and go and go. I'll give everything its fair shot to grow and to develop. And at some point you just, you gotta get rid of it and let it go. But no fear, just dive in and do it. I get one chance at life. I get so many trips around the sun, and I want to make every trip around the sun count. And I don't want to be sitting there wondering, what if, how could I be better, or what could be better? It's going to be better now. How about right now we make this better?
Amen. Amen. Well, guys, I think this has been an incredible episode. Me and Jake are so lucky that we had Matt on. I hope you listen to this, um, and listen to it again. If this is your first time listening through, listen to it again and again, because it's not, what we do isn't technically exhaustive when growing a business. And I think hopefully you've learned from this is just getting around the right people and taking imperfect action, and just not being scared to fail. So Matt, thank you so much for coming on our show. We really appreciate you. And I love connecting with you every time we connect. It's so valuable. And I'm sure others are going to see the value in this episode. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you being on our show.
Yeah, man, real quick before I go, I mean, I know you guys work for Parapayments as well. And if anybody's out there, thinking about taking credit cards, doing credit card processing, it's been very helpful for me with the company and help, retain money. And, Dave or Jake can obviously go over with you. What's really going on in the credit card world is it's almost absurd. And people should be properly educated. If anyone owns a business, not just home inspectors, anyone who owns a business, they should reach out to Parapayments and see how they can help you and help increase some of your margins.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Really
yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
And thank you to all our
Awesome,
listeners. Guys. Yeah, thank you for tuning in to episode 5, Rapid Growth, with Matt Smith here. And we really appreciate everyone listening, tuning in. We appreciate the comments on YouTube. Keep those coming. And feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to answer questions, have people on, and get everyone's perspective. And, keep listening. We are on every podcasting streaming service now, and you can find us on YouTube as well. So thank you very much. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Right.
Yeah, baby. Take care, guys.